politics of the season is that has been described now as any project containing anything that has a tolling component, which is just not right. I mean, LBJ has never been concepted, at least to my knowledge, and there's no plan to turn LBJ into a toll road, meaning you don't have the option.
Now, there's an express on the west part, right?
Absolutely.
Is it a tolled express lane? Is that the right verbiage?
It is basically the same thing we're asking for here. It is an optional tolled express lane, which you don't ever have to take it. It's not required. Right. You can travel the free lanes. And that's what, one of the big knocks, or at least one of the arguments that we've heard in this is, look, you're creating what they call Lexus lanes, or lanes that are more expensive, so only people with means get to travel on them. And I can see that argument, but the truth of it is, once you put the express lane on, the free lanes, and this is average across the data, show that they go from an average speed of 30 miles per hour to 55 miles per hour.
Is that specifically for LBJ?
That's LBJ Express, and there's other studies that have similar shown evidence. But, so that's an advantage for everybody, first of all. Now, do the lanes cost more? Do the optional lanes? Sometimes, yes, and that's a concern, and we want to make sure we take care of that concern. But the truth of it is, the people that are coming to me and talking to me about it are not the wealthy. It's people that saying, look, I'm an electrician. If I can get there quicker and pay $3 to do so, I get a whole nother we get more business out of it. It's people that are dealing with this for quality of life issues. Yes, I'm working over off Luna Road. I'm trying to get home to my kids and trying to get home to the family. And, if it's another $1.50 to do so, then it's worth it to me. It's to have that time. It's my own personal story, which when I stood up to talk to the Transportation Commission, I said, look, before I talk to you as a council member, I want to talk to you as a dad and a father of a son who plays soccer at the Dallas Texans Development Academy, and he has practice, 4 or 5 days a week at Luna Road and 635. Right. It takes me as long, and my wife mainly, as long to get to our house through and to the express lanes as it does to get all the way from where we enter the express lanes on LBJ Express all the way to Luna Road to the soccer practice. And that's less than a mile for us. So it's just a no-brainer in this issue.
One of the first places I saw you talk about this was on social media, and it wasn't too long after that I saw you mention that you were going to have a meeting. And I guess the group is now, you can tell me, it's LBJ Now, a group of concerned citizens who are very vocal about this issue. So can you talk about LBJ Now, and can you talk about how that meeting went that you had?
Absolutely. So, when you start having a discussion like this, you start asking, who's for it? Who's against it? Who has issues with the toll lanes? Who doesn't? And I started having a real problem because everybody I asked was in support of the tolled express lanes, the optional lanes. As long as they're optional, they're supporting. And these are some people that, look, we know about toll roads, right? I had a whole election that was part of a litmus test was, do you support the toll road down in the Trinity? And I was one of those that did not support that toll road. And we know the difference between toll road and optional toll lanes. And a lot of the people that were coming out were saying, look, we want this option. We want the freedom. And so it started by just some parents, some local advocates saying, look, we got to do something. Because when the Texas Transportation Commission voted in December to kill not just ours, but the 3 largest projects in the state and another 15 that included some degree of tolling, they said, look, we can't wait. We can't wait. We're losing so much money. We're losing time. We're losing quality of life, economic development opportunities. We've got to do something. And so it's always funny in the small meetings that we have because people are coming in, oh, wait, I got to go pick my daughter up. And then it is as grassroots as it gets. And they started even a little Twitter. And in about 3.5 weeks, they got up. Now it's over 80,000 touches on. I mean, it's a big issue. And so watching everybody come together and be on the same page and just say we got to talk with one voice, and that's really what has grown into this LBJ Now movement. And we know that people are hearing it and listening. And so we went down, talked in Austin. I think all the people that went and spoke did a good job of just being, just telling how impact it's having on their lives. And
it's like one of your colleagues, Mr. Kleinman, was also there as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was really, the first trip to Austin was really 2 components. First, it was the RTC. not a lot of people know about the Regional Transportation Commission, but the RTC is who essentially takes the federal funding that comes from the feds and then works on with the MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization, and has 44 elected officials from all over the region, all the different counties, county judges, city elected officials, all over. And this has been a project that has been unanimously supported for years now. And so there's a group that went down from the RTC from all over the region, and they spoke first, and they talked about how first it was a big accomplishment to get our project because the other projects that got canceled didn't get back on the agenda.
Okay.
So our 635 project, due to it being the most important project in the region and a lot of other reasons, got on the agenda. So we all thought that we had at least the option to go ahead and start the procurement, that was all worked out. And we had a number of people from the RTC that went and spoke. Lee Kleinman has done a great job advocating for transportation projects in the region, and certainly this one being the top, he's there, and he did a good job advocating for it. But RTC had their discussion, and then my job was really, okay, from the community perspective, what's happening, and who do we support that? And that's where a number of folks went and spoke, just did a really good job making that point. So you also asked me about the meeting. So that led to a further discussion after that meeting, and as soon as we started the meeting, Chairman Bugg said, all right, it was back on the agenda, but we're not going to take any action. And so that was really kind of a shock to all of us because we really thought that was going to start and the procurement was going to start and we'd get going from there. But taking no action, we get back, and then people just started reaching out to us. What happened? What's going on? What's the issue here? And so we saw the need to just say, look, let's just have an open town hall meeting, invite anybody and everybody. Come out, we'll tell you what's happening, give the best background we can, and then say, all right, here's how you get engaged. And so at the same time, we were getting a lot of feedback that our state officials, both the governor, lieutenant governor, some of the senators that had been not supportive of toll projects were listening and engaging, and at least we were hoping we're going to start taking some action. And so we did. We hosted the meeting. We had... At a point in time, we counted about 250, but there were some that came and went, so it was about 300 showed up for the meeting. And I opened it and then turned it over to Susan Morgan, who'd been involved in this a long time, Kathy Stewart, who is the executive director of the public improvement districts in the area that go right across 635, and Mark Holmes, who's a president of the White Rock Valley Neighborhood Association, but also past president of the Exchange Club, and just engaged in a number of different ways. And they just told the story of what's happening here, what's been going on. And then we opened it up and said, I had a question. Michael Morris from the COG, Council of Governments, and the RTC came and spoke, and he wasn't given any presentation. We just said, can you just catch us up on where we are as right at this moment? Because what has happened is we've now had to take funding because the optional tolls are in or out of this project.
So it's gone from 800. There's 800 million that's allocated. Am I right about that?
Well,
in a $1.8 billion project,
the numbers move around a little bit because there's some savings in the design build ad part of it. But right now there's $653 million that is unfunded without the tolled express lanes, and there's some other numbers involved. I can show you the breakdown, but that money would be coming from other projects in the region. And they picked projects from Kaufman, Rowlett, and one in the northern areas. And those projects would essentially either have to find funding from another way or would not happen anytime soon. And even with that money put in this deal, our project then, the 635 project, becomes phased, where they want to build it from the outside in. And when you do that, it takes more time now. Now we're not talking about a 4-year construction. We're talking about 6, 8, 10. In fact, I was talking to one of the senators. He said, look, we're going to have 3 legislative sessions to work this out. And I said, no, sir. I mean, that's the problem. We don't have 10 years to let this sit there. A developer I was speaking with said, look, if you say this is going to be phased out over that amount of time, it's a death sentence for economic development in this area. We're just not going to come here. With the uncertainty and everything else, it's just not going to happen. And so that becomes a big, big frustration of this. And so had the meeting, had a great turnout, good involvement. I was thankful. One of the folks one of our senators that has been carrying the anti-toll road banner is Senator Bob Hall, and he showed up at the meeting, which I appreciated his courage in facing that group. And I assume there'd be quite a bit of the anti-toll group there. And so a lot of the questions were directed at why would anybody stop this? I don't understand. And so at one point in time, I just said, Senator Hall, do you want to comment? And he spoke. And I appreciated it. And he was interrupted by one gentleman who said, I didn't know if he was going to be confrontational or not, but he was very respectful. But he just said, look, I run a small business, and the express lanes right now that are heading west are saving my business. And he talked about the impact on everything. And he said, we just want the same thing heading east. I mean, that's just the need. And so after he spoke, I said, well, let me just get an idea. Let's just have a show of hands in the room. I said, all right, how many of you are here, and after hearing where we are right now, how many of you support the project with optional tolled express lanes? And it was like everybody raised their hand. I was a little bit surprised. So I said, all right, I can't really tell because it looked like everybody raised their hand. And so I said, let me ask the other question. How many of you are opposed to this project if it includes optional tolled express lanes? And 3 people raised their hand.
Out of about how many?
You're close to 300.
Okay.
And so I was shocked, and I said, hold on. I mean, we took pictures and that kind of thing because it was just, I've not had an issue. I mean, we don't have that kind of support for police and fire, right? I mean, I've had town hall meetings where we're talking about whether we, have the Forest Green Library or things like that, and it's not that level of support. It was really shocking, but it also that proved what I've been hearing from constituent after constituent of who was supportive of this project, and there's just no doubt in the world that our community and the people most directly involved in this project want the project done, first of all, need all the components to it, but one of those is the optional tolled express lanes.
I guess the last thing is what's next? Again, you said it was no action taken at the last meeting, so what's next for 635 East?
So we're continuing to advocate for what the community wants. We went down again last Thursday to the Transportation Commission. It wasn't on the agenda, so we spoke at the open mic time. And again, different group of people went down, but I'm just so encouraged by the way the community's showing up. And, they had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, drive down to Austin, wait through all the agenda, and then stand up and have their voice heard. And they did an amazing job. Very strong. I encourage anybody to go out and hear their comments because it was really impactful. And so we're going to keep advocating. And I have a meeting scheduled, and I'm trying to schedule more with the senators to try to see if we can convince them that this is the right thing. And we'll just keep at it. I think the primaries are coming up. It's political season. I think depending upon how some of the races go, there might be some either new blood or dealing with the same blood to figure out what's going to happen there. And then I think shortly after that, we'll have another discussion with the state leadership, governor's office, lieutenant governor, and then see if we're going to get this back on the agenda and what it looks like when it gets there.
Well, we are going to continue to follow this. Thanks for kind of opening us on it because we've been talking about this in the office, and maybe down the road we can talk about some progress or something different as it relates to this issue, and maybe you might even come on again and talk about something else.
That sounds good to me. I think we're going to get it done. It's just not knowing where the funds are going to be, the timeline, and what the end of the project looks like. We're going to keep pushing for it.
Well, we will be following you. We will be following this project. We want to thank you for coming on Deconstructing Dallas. We are going to take a quick break, and we will be back to wrap up right after this.
Welcome back. Deconstructing Dallas, and what a great interview, Sean. Hats off to you again. Our thanks to Councilman Adam McGough for coming on and for his leadership on the 635 East project. On a separate note, good luck to our other client, SMU, and the Mustangs finishing out their home schedule tonight. Ben Melagoo playing his final game in red and blue. So congrats to y'all, and hope for a big win tonight against Houston.
Well, you have been listening to Deconstructing Dallas, an Allen Media production. I am Sean Williams. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean P. Williams, SHAWNP Williams. My co-host Ryan Trimble, follow him on Twitter at RTrimble15. Join us next week. We are going to jump lightly into the guns rights issues that people are talking about around the country. We got some great guests to talk about that next week. We want to thank Mary Woodleaf, Jennifer Pascal. Thank you to Councilmember Adam McGough and his assistant Brennan Blair. This is Deconstructing Dallas. Adios.